Welcome back. I originally tried to record this on my phone, didn't really work. Gonna try to do it now. Gonna try to do it real short because I don't have a lot of time today. I don't know if I'm gonna have time tomorrow, Monday. But if you were watching the debate from this previous evening, which would be yesterday night when you're watching this video, Bernie Sanders had a chance to really go after Joe Biden concerning his ties to China. And I want to first say, the COVID-19 pandemic is really causing a lot of anxiety where I live, even though there's been only 30 confirmed cases in the state of Ohio. So if you're out there and you're, this isn't Botswana, but here. So I think people need to get a little perspective, but you should be prepared. Got some more supplies today, but obviously it is a little too late to start to prepare if you're starting from nothing. I think people should generally take as many precautions as they can, but obviously not everyone has that option. I personally don't even know if I have work tomorrow. So I think that it was appropriate to raise the issue during the debate. I think that in many respects they politicized the issue and made it pretty obvious that they're using the COVID-19 outbreak as a means to create a wedge during the election. But let's hear some of what's going on here. Dana Bash asking Bernie Sanders.
In China, the government there censored the whistleblower doctor who sounded the alarm and downplayed the true gravity of the virus.
Right.
What consequences should China face for its role in this global crisis?
Well, one of the consequences is we have got to learn that you cannot lie to the American people. You cannot be less than frank about the nature of the crisis. And what bothers me very much is you have a president of the United States today, Mr. Trump, who is praising China for the good work that they are doing, when in fact, as you indicated, they were lying to their own people and allowing that virus to move much more aggressively than should have been the case. Look, I don't think this is the time for reclamation, to be punishing people. Now is the time.
So that should be reclamation, but let's keep going. There's no such word as reclamation.
By the way, to be working with China. They are learning a lot about this crisis. We have got to work with them. We've got to work with the World Health Organization. We've got to work with Italy. We've got to work with countries around the world. If there was ever a moment when the entire world is in this together, got to support each other, this is that moment.
So Bernie could have really gone after Biden for issues, and instead he wanted to focus on Donald Trump. Donald Trump wasn't facing him that day, and Bernie Sanders is not going to be facing Donald Trump because Bernie Sanders is going to lose this election because Bernie Sanders doesn't really have the killer instinct to try to win. This was Biden back in May 2019.
The fact of the matter is, we can do all we need to do without punishing anybody. Anybody. The reason I'm optimistic here is, look at who we are. I've met virtually every major world leader in my role as vice president and as foreign relations chairman over the last 30 years. And that's not hyperbole. Virtually every one. I don't know a single solitary one who would not change places with the problems the President of the United States has versus the problems they have. China is going to eat our lunch? Come on, man. They can't even figure out how to deal with the fact that they have this great division between the China Sea and the mountains in the west. They can't figure out how they're going to deal with the corruption that exists within the system. I mean, they're not bad folks, but guess what? They're not competition for us.
So Biden says back last year that China isn't even in competition for us. Joe Biden has been going easy on China because China is a business partner of his. It's unbelievable sometimes how the media will just take everything at face value. I was reading earlier an article with Business Insider, what I tried to use for the previous article, and it said, just took at face value what Hunter Biden's lawyer had said. It says, what we know about Hunter Biden's dealings in China, for those of you that have been living under a rock, Hunter Biden, seen here on the right, is Joe Biden's son, his only surviving son. I think his oldest son, Beau Biden, passed away several years ago. Speaking to reporters Thursday, President Trump said that China, along with Ukraine, should investigate the business dealings of former vice president and current Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden and his son, Hunter Biden. Here's what we know about the Biden family's dealings in China. Hunter Biden, a 49-year-old lawyer and the second son of the former vice president, owns 10% of a private equity firm called Bohai Harvest RST. RST stands for Rosemont Seneca Thornton, Shanghai Equity Investment Fund Management Company. Over the past roughly 6 years, it has channeled $2.5 billion or more on behalf of its financial backers in automotive, energy, mining, and technology deals, according to interviews with people familiar with the private equity firm and a review by the Wall Street Journal of financial filings and other official business records. Hunter Biden is one of 9 directors of the firm known as BHR Partners, which is controlled and funded primarily by large Chinese government-owned shareholders. So this is a company that the vice president's son is on the board of directors of, that is controlled by corporations that are wholly owned by the Chinese government. Is that not a conflict of interest? Why didn't Bernie Sanders bring that up? This is something confirmed by the Wall Street Journal. So he could have easily said to Biden, look, this is an outlet that I'm not necessarily a darling of, and they're even saying this about you. And this is really where I see that those people who have been supporting Sanders simply don't get it. He does not have the killer instinct. If Bernie Sanders wanted to win the election, you have to go deep the whole night today. The whole night. Bernie Sanders was going after Biden for his voting record on abortion and on climate change and on private equity firms and on the bailouts, and that's fine, and I get it. And in fact, a few times I actually said that there's certain points where I think Bernie Sanders is actually correct, especially about the bailouts. Maybe only about the bailouts, but in any case, Bernie Sanders had his strongest performance, in my opinion, tonight, just in terms of behavior and his ability to hold his own. Joe Biden, by the way, also had a decent performance, maybe not an amazing performance, but we're not looking for grading style and policy here. You're trying to do damage and get some, votes coming your way, and Bernie Sanders didn't do it because he doesn't have what it takes to go and really hunt for an enemy's scalp. That's something that you have to learn if you want to be successful in a national political race. And probably also, I'm surprised, maybe politics in Vermont is a little different from elsewhere. I highly doubt it because, politics anywhere takes a lot of real ability to swallow some bitter pills. But yeah, Bernie Sanders could have easily gone deep and attacked Hunter Biden or Joe Biden for his son's dealings in China, specifically, things that have not been talked about. And therefore, instead we have what I just wrote an article about this. It's going to be coming out.
And that's why I am so proud to.
Concerning the decision of Kamala Harris to endorse Joe Biden. And you can see, and Joe Biden even committed tonight to nominating as his running mate a woman. And I think pretty soon he's going to narrow it down to a woman of color. And eventually it's going to be narrowed down to Kamala Harris, in my opinion. That's a cautious prediction. Obviously, it could be someone else. There's certainly a few people. I think if he was smart, by the way, if he was really smart and not an idiot, he wouldn't even consider Kamala Harris. Maybe he would consider Susan Rice, even though she has a different type of baggage. But she doesn't have personality baggage like Kamala Harris. But look at this nauseating scene.
And that's why I am so proud to endorse Joe Biden for President of the United States. And cut. How you doing?
Good. Tell me about the K-Hive.
So, the K-Hive. They're pretty awesome.
I sure love to have their support.
All you have to do is ask.
I need your help. I really need your help. And thank you for considering this. Because I tell you what, if I have her team behind me, I know there's no stopping us.
Yeah, the K-Hive isn't a bunch of band players. It's basically Kamala Harris's army of bitter feminist idiots who live on Twitter and can't get away from it. By the way, I'm still banned on Twitter. People like this lady.
I'm so motherfucking pissed off, y'all. I had to unwrap my hair and draw my eyebrows back on because I have to tell you, Bernie Bros, and you, Bernie Bro, it's something. Leave Kamala Harris the fuck alone. Stay the fuck out of her comments being disrespectful. Y'all done already done enough damage. Y'all been on her motherfucking ass for years now, and you still at it. What in the fuck possesses you? Who raised you? To where you think it's a good motherfucking idea to go under a picture of a living legend like Ruby Bridges and a trailblazer like Kamala Harris that's a positive sisterly picture and talk shit? What gives you the motherfucking authority to step to Kamala Harris about anything she does as an autonomous black woman in motherfucking America? You don't have no motherfucking authority over her. None of y'all bitches do. Watch what the fuck you say and who the fuck you say it to. You don't have any fucking authority to question Kamala Harris. And I'm really motherfucking sick of y'all trying to weaponize the truth that Kamala spoke. Y'all want to talk about busting? Kamala spoke truth. Something a lot of y'all, number one, can't do. And a lot of y'all don't even give a fuck about. So why are you even bringing this shit up? As a black person in America, we have to maneuver in spaces. We have to interact, partner, collaborate, fellowship with people who have done things that are harmful, racist even. You would know a lot about that now, wouldn't you? And yet, we find it in our hearts to move forward. We speak truth and we move forward. That's what Kamala Harris embodies. So don't fucking step to Kamala Harris on who she's endorsing, on and what you motherfuckers is not going to do. You're not going to fucking sit up there and talk shit about Kamala Harris. You're not going to sit up there and malign Kamala Harris. You're not going to fucking win over black voters. Bernie Sanders already got a black voter problem. This motherfucker done hired a motherfucker for black voter Irish that's trashing Obama. And y'all motherfuckers is not helping. Stay the fuck out of Kamala Harris's comments, period.
Yeah, so that's the type of person that Joe Biden is now integrating into his campaign infrastructure. People who literally cannot tolerate comments under a photo of Kamala Harris, who is a prosecutor who put people in prison for drug crimes and then later bragged about smoking weed in college. And they want to make this a race issue. And look, everybody knows if you watch this channel, I know there's only some of you who've watched it for a long time. I know I'm not being delusional about how big of an audience this is. But Bernie Sanders, you can criticize him for a lot of things. And God knows I despise the man. I don't wish him any sort of peace. I just have no respect for him whatsoever. But Bernie Sanders isn't a racist. Bernie Sanders supporters aren't racist. Bernie Sanders supporters are in many, look, there's obviously some weirdos among them. But the ones that I've personally met are usually rather, peaceable people who are very, I would say, they're just a little nonconformist, but they generally don't try to harm others, and they're not malicious or vindictive when they interact with other people. So no, I think this is just another example of a group of cult-like supporters of the Democratic Party who are going after him. And like I said, he should have really today used this as his last shot. He has Illinois and Florida going to the polls this Tuesday, and they're not delaying the election so far as I know. The primary, I mean. And once Illinois and Florida fall into the Biden column, I think that he becomes virtually a lock. There's no other way to put it. If Bernie gets just BTFO'd in Florida and then loses Illinois, which I think he'll lose significantly because Illinois, of course, is Obama land. Bernie Sanders is done. He needed to do something tonight that was extraordinary. Not have a decent debate performance, not have a good debate performance, do some damage. And that's what you need to do. That's how it works. And this is what, Cory Booker at least was willing to say this.
Into common purpose and a common vision. And that's the kind of leader we need to heal our nation now.
We have been talking about, Julian Castro when he called out Joe Biden saying, well, you don't remember what you said 2 minutes ago. Senator Klobuchar was just here telling us she thought it was a very uncool moment and rather Trump-like. What did you think in that moment?
Well, if you saw Senator Klobuchar, we were on the end. I think a lot of the debate, she and I stepping towards each other and just talking about these notes.
Is that the cheap shot you were referring to?
I think that, look, I think that we are at a tough point right now because there's a lot of people who are concerned about Joe Biden's ability to carry the ball all the way across the end line without fumbling. And I think that Castro has some really legitimate concerns about can he be someone in a long, grueling campaign that can get the ball over the line? And he has every right to call that out. I do think that tone and tenor is really important, and we can respect President Biden and disagree with him. I tried to show that in the CNN debate.
Call him President Biden.
Where he and I have strong different disagreements. But we shouldn't do things that at the end of this, when you demonize somebody and create bad blood, it's hard to unify afterwards.
Do you think that Senator, that Biden did a better job tonight? I mean, do you think that he showed that he could take the ball over the line? I mean, people are saying, look, he was stronger. Was he?
Okay, I think there was a lot of moments where a number of us were looking at us on our stage when he tends to go on sometimes. At one point, he's talking about people in communities like mine listening to record players. I don't remember the last time I saw a record player in my
community. They're back in,
They're back in. The vinyl is hot right now.
It is hot. I just want to let you know.
Maybe he's cooler than I am, but there are definitely moments where you listen.
So you see Dana Bash just throwing that in. Maybe it was a joke, but I think that the media was trying to cover for Biden, not necessarily just because they want him to be the nominee. I think they were open to someone else becoming the nominee, whether it was Booker or Harris or Warren or whoever. But they knew that Biden needed protection from a lot of the real probes into his dirty dealings in Ukraine and in China, as well as protection from the fact that he was losing his mind. And that the man is, his whole world is basically a house of cards. Joe Biden's entire reputation is held up by a media that is willfully covering for him. And Bernie Sanders is part of that. Bernie Sanders, who has been demonized and treated like crap by a segment of the media. And look, I'm not trying to excuse some of the things he's said or done. And, I don't agree with him on almost anything. But Bernie Sanders is treated like crap by the media. And I was stunned, actually, earlier this week that Chris Wallace, or it was last week, Chris Wallace of Fox News actually gave him a fairly decent and balanced interview compared to some of the clowns that usually interview him on CNN and MSNBC. And I was thinking, Fox News is, it's not a good network, but it is the closest thing to a fair and balanced network that we've had in years. And this is from a company that for many years was falsely trading on this reputation of being fair and balanced. But the bottom line from tonight, with all of the blah, blah, blah and bloviating about coronavirus and the fake plans of both Biden and Sanders of what they would do about it, Bernie Sanders had the chance to at least do some damage to Joe Biden and really make him sweat and go nuts. And he didn't do it because Bernie Sanders is committed at the end to not cutting his ties to the Democrats, to preserving his status as part of the Senate's pecking order, getting the legislation, I guess, that he wants co-sponsored forward if he has to within the Democratic caucus. Bernie Sanders plays along to the game. He's not some sort of transcendent figure the way his supporters claim he is. And that's something that Bernie bros are going to have to understand. And that's what I'm trying to tell them. You need to find a figure who is willing to take you the next step, fight for those beliefs. And these are beliefs that aren't mine, they're yours. Fight for those beliefs beyond the Democratic Party and beyond being a part of the system that's suppressive for so long. That's why the Dem Exit movement, I think, it's healthy for American society, even if you don't agree with their economic and social beliefs, which I don't agree with either of them. We need more parties. I would hope eventually we're going to get a Republican exit and more people joining some sort of alternative libertarian group. Doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon, partly because Trump is very good at uniting different factions, which, that's to his credit. That's about it. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can also find my content on the following platforms: YouTube, Bold Like a Leopard, on BitChute at Chef Leopard, Minds.com at Chef Leopard, Subscribestar at Chef Leopard if you want to donate, and Gab at StarScream85. Have a great Monday and stay safe.